What's up, guys? Welcome back to the review and discussion for UnOrdinary, episode 345. The mid, the not mid, the semi finale of season 2. And this episode is rough. This episode is good. I really like it, but man, you can see the toll that it takes on the two characters that we focus on this episode, because we really only focus on two characters. We really only focus on Remy and Ison for this episode. Episode starts out with Blake and Arlo, their senses being overtaken by Sylvia when Farah breaks through Arlo's barrier, and her hypnosis also begins to overtake them as they both fall down unconscious. And outside, we clearly see that they're not jumping out, and Remy says that she is going to go back for them. But once again, Ison kind of stops her, saying that they need to leave. Kind of like what Remy said. They need to leave they need to get out at all costs today. And Ison kind of points that out, like, you said we had to get out at all costs, Remy. And he tells her if Blake and Arlo could have escaped, they would have by now. And once again, I just want to say, unfortunately, Ison is right. He's right now. Like, now's not the time to be the hero anymore. Like, they can't afford to go back for anyone anymore. They're out of options. They're out of time. They have to leave. And honestly, it's a shame that of all people, it's Blake, whose loyalty to someone who saved him, whose loyalty to someone who saved him ended up getting him captured in the end. Blake made the sacrifice play on two fronts. Blake made the sacrifice play. He said, I'm going back for John because John had my back. And Blake told them, I'm going to stay behind, get these guys off of Arlo so we can meet back up with you. And those two decisions are what led to him getting captured today. Led to him not being able to escape. And, you know, we have said for a long time, Blake really is a hero because Blake is someone who sticks himself out so that others can be saved, so that others can have a chance. And it kind of goes back. I remember me and Digi and the other Jokers, we had a conversation a long time ago about which character in the series is most likely to be the hero in UnOrdinary, not the series UnOrdinary, but the book. Like, who's most likely to be the hero in the book that William wrote? And I'm pretty sure I had said Digi was of the mindset that John is the hero of UnOrdinary, that John is the one who makes the sacrifice play and like kind of gives his life for the sake of others. And I do definitely see his points, but also I'm pretty sure I was of the mindset that if any of the main cast, it was always going to be Blake. Blake is someone who's always been selfless and has always thought to do the right thing. Blake is someone who's always been willing to make the sacrifice play. And unfortunately this time, the sacrifice play ended up being a really big sacrifice he had to make. So, yeah. And this episode is really hard for Remy. This choice is really hard for Remy because Remy knows that Ison's right. Remy knows that they can't go back anymore. They already have John as deadweight that they need to carry. And Remy is kind of just catatonic in this, not catatonic. She's just kind of inactive in this moment. Ison is like fending off guards while Remy is just staring up at the hole that Blake created. Just clearly it overtakes her and she begins to cry, like saying that she's sorry that she can't save Blake and Arlo. She feels horrible that she of all people has to have abandoned two people who have done so much for her, who have always been there for her. And this time, unfortunately, she can't be there for them. And I don't hold that against Remy. Like, I know I hold a lot of things against Remy. This is something that's absolutely out of her control. And this is something that's honestly really hard for her. And I can totally acknowledge that. And yeah, she makes the unfortunate but correct decision to leave, to just jump ship. So, as she does so, she unleashes more power, like a powerful electro burst, like to all nearby guards. And Remy does work on this. Like, she does work in this scene. She has taken out guards left and right. Ison really doesn't get to do anything. Ison is just holding John. Like, Remy is just going like, bam, 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 electrocuting people left and right. Ison is just like falling like right behind her, carrying John. And once again, I said this before, Ison always just fucking getting out scot-free. Like, Ison's true ability is luck. Ison's true ability is luck. This boy encounters the Bureau way too often and gets out the least damaged. It makes sense. It makes sense though. If he gets damaged by the Bureau, he is not living. He's not built for the world. Anyway. So, yeah. So they pull up to a car. They pull up to one of the cop cars. Remy just kind of like yanks the officer out. She's like, "Get out, mother!" She's like, "Get out, you son of a bitch!" She swipes the car. She tells Ison, "Hey, figure out how to drive." So Ison just throws John in the back seat, like literally just chucks him in. They book it out of there as Remy just electrocutes the rest of the cars. We don't see them explode, so I guess she just like short circuits the engine or something. I don't think that's a thing you can do with it. She damages the cars, obviously, but we don't see like them blow up or anything. Anyway, we cut back to Farah and Sylvia. And Sylvia alerts the guards to not let Remy and Ison get away, but Farah says that with Arlo and Blyke, they should be able to locate them. So I'm assuming that they're most likely going to use Keon's memory recall to get more information on this. And, maybe some other information too. Like, we'll get there. We'll get there. Anyway, Farah, but one thing I did think about, I am wondering if this is how Keon is going to find out the truth about Ember. Because I've always said, Keon's not a good person, but we have to take his word for it that he doesn't know anything about Ember. That he doesn't know like anything about it. And clearly that type of information is withheld at the Bureau. Like, not everyone has access to it. So I am very curious if Keon does have memory recall on Blyke and Arlo, if he finds out the truth about Ember, and if he's just like, whoa, wait, what? Because I don't know. We really don't know anything about Keon. We know he's a bad person. We know he likes torturing kids. But we really don't know too much about who he is, about how far his loyalty to the Bureau could actually go. Anyway. But yeah. So yeah. Sylvia, we then cut to Sylvia, who, well, also one thing really quick. Actually, we'll get to that. We'll get back to it in a bit. No, let's talk about it right now. I'm also wondering if it's possible, maybe they like double team Blyke and Arlo, kind of like Keon using memory recall, but also like they get Nadia involved again, like kind of get the lie detector lady, like, hey, like do you know where they are? Like, are they like blah 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 blah? Like, I'm wondering if like maybe they do like double team them, like memory recall and like lie detection. So could be interesting. Maybe like we haven't seen Nadia in a long time, I don't think. I don't know. Anyway, Sylvia, we cut back to her then. And Sylvia tells Farah to explain herself, most likely referring to how she was able to use other abilities. So it seems like Sylvia isn't in the know. It seems like she's not in the know with everything after all. But Farah tells her that she's not authorized to speak on the matter. And she even seemingly like wipes the memories of her subordinates like with her hypnosis. I think so. I guess that's how she's kind of able to like do the commandments and stuff. But I'm guessing she's obviously not. I'm guessing she's obviously not authorized to use the other abilities outside of Ember work as well. So this kind of has me thinking like, is Farah possibly like Zeke? Is power like, does power go to her head really easily? I brought up before like maybe the reason why Farah likes to be so ferocious and everything in her Ember work is because maybe her actual ability isn't too powerful on its own. So she's kind of like, with this, like I can be stronger now. Like I'm stronger now. Like I can finally fight back. Yeah, it's curious. I'm interested to see like to learn more about like kind of Farah's mentality for things. Because for Valerie definitely seems to be like greater good type of villain. Byron also kind of seems to be like asshole villain, like kind of like holier than thou type villain, kind of like old Arlo, but yeah, I'm curious, is Farah maybe a villain like Zeke where she's power hungry and her power starting to get to her head? Because even Arlo's reaction to her doing it was just like, what is the matter with you? Like, why are you doing this in front of all these people? So it's interesting. It's interesting. Anyway, so yeah, Farah then thanks Sylvia for the assistance, like for helping her out. And we don't see the same smile from Sylvia that Sylvia had before. Just kind of a face similar to kind of like, So I'm wondering if she's like kind of like displeased because of like the task was incomplete. A lot of students got away. Or if perhaps she's starting to have suspicion as well. Like, we've seen a lot of different not a lot of different. We've seen different people react to this news about like the Bureau's true intentions. And Ooooh's definitely like kind of shown Sylvia to be like someone who doesn't care about weaker people. So she seems to have like dying loyalty to the Bureau. So I'm curious if she is gonna. I highly doubt this would be the case, but I'm curious if she's possibly gonna be like, are we killing people? Are we the bad guys? So, like I said, I doubt that she's gonna have much reaction like that, but who knows? Who knows? Anyway, but anyway, yeah, she doesn't really get the slack that I give Keon. But yeah. I mean, considering how much we barely know about Keon, and I'm willing to give him some slack, I guess we can give Sylvia a bit of slack too. Maybe Sylvia's not down with the Ember shit. Maybe. Anyway, she's not good by any means. But we don't necessarily have much reason to kind of look at Sylvia in the same light that we look at like Valerie and Oren as villains. Not yet, at least. Not yet. But anyway. Watch Ooooh have Sylvia like order Farah to be eliminated after revealing the flame claws in like the public space. Cause Farah tells her like, hey, if you want, I'm not authorized to speak. If you want more information, you need to contact your connections. And so I'm wondering if Sylvia just pulls up like to Leon like, hey, bro, Farah, she's too much of a wild card. Like, kill her. Like she pulled out the flame claws in public. End her rightly. But yeah. So yeah. Sylvia definitely, like, her attitude towards Farah definitely changes in this episode. Like, there's a shot when, like, Farah's kind of like, everyone, like, move out. Like, Ooooh doesn't like show things unless there's a reason. And like she showed us like Sylvia like with her arms folded like as she's doing, but she also made a face to like show her like frowning. Like she could have just had like Sylvia like just kind of like standing there or something, but I don't know. It's weird. I'm very curious of kind of like why her demeanor was like that. So we cut back then with Remy and Ison. They manage to get to Grayson's safe house, and we see that Grayson is with them, asking them about what happened. And we see the absolute toll that the day has taken on Remy and Ison, that they're barely looking up. Like, Remy's crying over everything that happened and like wondering what will happen to Blake and Arlo, and even Ison himself is tearing up. And he even mentions that with Blake and Arlo in custody, the Bureau will most likely be able to read Blake's memories to find out where they would hide. Safe house isn't so safe anymore unless they can bust them out. So, yeah. And like I said, I think their strategy is most likely Keon possibly double teaming with Nadia to get to ask questions like stuff. And Grayson then asks if he'd be targeted too, and Blake and Ison tells him, yeah, probably. It's interesting. Okay, so he found out about the Bureau, still let them come. Grayson's seemingly loyal. Now that there's a big possibility he can be targeted, we're gonna have to wait and see. Like, if he stays loyal, we're gonna have to wait and see about that. And then Caden shows up. Caden just goes, like, appears out of nowhere. And he sees Remy and Ison and asks them what's wrong. And he even asks where Blake is. Like, Caden taking note of, like, these kids. I like that. That's when Kuyo shows up as well and takes Caden to see John. And Kuyo seemingly breaks down most of the day's events to Caden, telling him about why John rampaged across Wellston. And then we see Caden realizes why John wanted to talk to Sarah so badly that day after Sarah had left. And we don't really see like Caden dwell on it much. We just kind of see him put the pieces together. But I do like that. I do like kind of Caden being brought into the light and everything. Anyway, Kuyo then asks Caden to take John to see Doc because they're out of healing options. He says that John needs a good healer to patch him up. Kuyo says that he's only managed to take care of the bleeding. Caden then breaks down about what happened to Darren, that he was found out by the Bureau as well, and that he ditched town as well. As the two try to discuss the next course of action to take, because, again, John needs to be healed, Remy gets an idea. And honestly, I said this in the reaction, Ooooh could have made use of someone, but she doesn't. Instead, Remy suggests that they check John's pockets, and they see that he still has Cameron's card and the photo of William and Jane. And Remy says that he can probably help, as he's most likely one of John's relatives. Remy didn't really get info from John. She just kind of saw the card, and she was just like, is he a relative of yours? And John was kind of like, Anyway, in the last part of the episode, we cut to John waking up. He's in a completely different bed than he was before. We see that his torso and his left arm have been scarred up a bit, and he realizes that he's still alive, and he wonders where he is. I think it's pretty obvious he's in Cameron's home, that Cameron came and picked up his nephew. And Ooooh tells us that today, by the time you guys are watching this, is going to be the season finale. So, before that though, we get quick updates to everyone's levels like I thought we would. Ison is unfortunately not a high tier yet. He is a 4.8 now. Blake has gone up 0.1 uptick, so he is a 5.1 now. Remy now has Ray's same level. I believe there's like a slight difference in their stats, probably like different distribution and everything. But she is a 5.8. I still say that the way her lightning is designed, her lightning is way more powerful than Ray's is. I still say that I still think Remy should have surpassed Ray by now. Remy should be a god tier. I still stand by that. But Ooooh has made the choices with the stats that she has made. Arlos increase in power and trick. I was right. I said he was most likely now a 6.5, which he is. And John just up, similar to Blake. You know, Ooooh kind of like, Ooooh loves doing, like, Ooooh mentioned before how, like, Blake and John are, like, two sides of the same coins. They both end season 2 with a 0.1 uptick in their ability. Anyway, he's now a 7.6. So, you know, slider bump thanks to his minor strength enhancements, which is cool. I like that. Like I said, like similar to Arlo, I said like she worded it specifically as minor strength enhancements. So I don't think John's in the 8 range. I was kind of more like maybe he's like 7.6, 7.8 range. So was right on 2 fronts. Anyway. Ooooh also shows us Farah's stats, which this is something really interesting that happens here. She confirms that her ability is hypnosis, and assumably her level is a 6.5, stronger than Byron, so fuck yes. Anyway, but we also see that her stats and her ability carry a plus sign, plus icon next to it, clearly hinting at the Ember's abilities, as her stat sheet is rainbow colored, which is a really cool touch based on like kind of like the different abilities and everything. So I'm very interested to see kind of like where it goes and everything with that. And I also think that the colors used will most likely be a reference to also the superheroes that held those abilities. But anyway, Ooooh also doesn't make us wait for Sylvia's ability, which is Sensory Control 7.3. Clearly, under normal circumstances, John would have fucked her up. Still think it's weird, though. Because if John's stronger than her... Okay. Okay. If Arlo is able to resist... If Arlo is able to resist an ability that is the same level as his to some extent, shouldn't John have had some resistance beyond just the aura sensing to an ability that's weaker than his? Like, I could still understand like taking away his sight and like his like sight and stuff, but like shouldn't he have been able to like hear or something? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's also because he was in a weakened state too as well. I still feel like, I don't know. I feel like he should have had some resistance. The level is significant. The level is significantly weaker than his. And like I know it's like a 0.3 difference between him and Sylvia. But like I always say, Ooooh has said, the higher the levels get, the bigger the gaps between even the smallest changes get. So I say John is still significantly more powerful than Sylvia. Also interesting though. It's also interesting though because the first time we've seen John lose necessarily is technically to someone. I'm gonna give Sylvia credit for this. I'm gonna give Sylvia credit for this because she was basically playing chess with John. She was basically playing chess and like sending people to do her work. The first time we've seen John lose in a long time. Well, in a long time. Last time he lost was to Sarah. I guess Terrence too, technically. My point is mute, but I'm still going to make it. The first time we see John truly lose is to someone who's weaker than him. It's interesting. Interesting. I like it. I do like that touch. I do like that touch. Because Sylvia, like, for as smart as John is when it comes to battle, when it comes to abilities, Sylvia was able to quickly, like, kind of deduce everything with him. Like, she was kind of, like, she was piecing things together, like, oh, he's able to sense aura. She's like, depower, only use it when necessary. Like he can sense you otherwise. So I did like his battle with Sylvia. Anyway, yeah. So possibilities for what could happen next. Black and Arlo are killed for abilities, or brainwashed, or brainwashed into working for the Bureau, or season 3 starts with a prison break. Clock's ticking. Like they don't have much time. They have to do something. As much as they want to like kind of stay back and heal or like kind of like think things through, they have to make moves if they want to get Blake and Arlo back. So, yeah. I'm also very curious as to what Cameron's reaction is going to be to this. Obviously, John's getting some kind of scolding about his recklessness because Cameron doesn't like how childish John is. But I do wonder if he's going to understand the contempt for the Bureau because they're like we've seen there seems to be some sort of tension between their family and the Bureau. So I'm really curious about like what Cameron's reaction is going to be. Beyond that, with the season 2 finale, season 1's finale was kind of like the build up to everything with season 1. So there was really only one focus for the episode. The way Ooooh, and that was kind of the same thing with season 1's first half finale, where they took Sarah to see Doc, Arlo and Elaine reported to Vaughn, and kind of like, everything ended off with like things will just be as they were. But the way season 2's midway finale ended, a lot of stuff was mentioned and kind of talked about and kind of like looked at. So I'm wondering if Ooooh's just gonna kind of focus on like Cameron. Are Remy and Ison, Kuyo and Grayson and Kaden with Cameron? Like, I highly doubt this is the case. Did he take them all with him? Or is it just John? It's most likely just John. Like, the only person Cameron has any loyalty to is John right now. He has no reason to, like, care about them. Is, like, we've all thought, like, John is probably going to be with Cameron by the end of this. And, yeah. So, like, what's going to happen? Like, are we going to focus on just John and Cameron? Or are we going to get a lot of different perspectives and, like, everything's going to be like, guys, we got a lot to do in season 3. Like, are we going to, like, focus on John and Cameron? Then Remy, Ison, and Kuyo, like, making their next move. Blake and Arlo in prison. Maybe we'll even see if Sarah made it to Neil. Or if they got captured by the Bureau, too. Ooooh could potentially do the craziest thing, honestly. Because we haven't seen Sarah in so long. There's been no update for Sarah and Layla and Doc. So for all we know, Doc and Layla could be dead. Sarah could probably be captured by the Bureau too. I hope that's not the case. But there's so many things we could do. So I'm curious. Is season 2 this finale is also incredibly different from season 1's because season 1 was a fight finale. Season 1's finale was a fight finale that was like, well, shit, like here we are. Season 2's finale is most likely going to be a talking episode, but also has the potential to be like oh fuck nuggets, what do we do now type finale. Season 2, because season 1's finale, we were all kind of like, John's king. John's the Shadow King. But now we're kind of like, wow, everyone's kind of fucked right now. So I'm curious what Ooooh's plan for the season 2 finale is going to be. But that's going to be it for this review and discussion, guys. Let me know what you all think down below in the comments. And, yeah. We got a lot planned. We do have a lot planned before season 3 comes back. I'm not going to leave you guys high and dry. I promise. Still a lot of content. Still a lot of streams are going to happen. A lot of videos are going to be coming out once season 2 wraps up. But that's got to be it for today. So as always, everyone, see you, Space Cowboy.